Tomorrow, the U.S. will celebrate the 50th anniversary of the first American to orbit the Earth. John Glenn's mission lasted 5 hours. Its impact has lasted the 5 decades since then. More than boosting the U.S. space program, Glenn's liftoff in February 1962 lifted an entire nation's spirits.
3, 2, 1, 0.
50 years ago, John Glenn counted down to the unknown.
Roger, the clock is operating.
With the weight of a country on his shoulders.
Americans had a beaten down feeling. We were in the height of the Cold War. On Gemini,
Don Blair covered NASA for years as a reporter and wrote a book about the U.S. space program. Russia, called the Soviet Union back then, had beaten us into space with the first satellite, Sputnik, and the first man in orbit, Yuri Gagarin.
We were really falling behind, and American pride was hanging by a thread.
As we raced the Russians in space, our rockets had not yet proven reliable.
And then along comes this very modest, decent, Marine record-breaking jet pilot.
John Glenn was part of America's first class of astronauts, called the Mercury 7. Though 2 of them had blasted off into suborbit.
Roger, we're programming and roll okay.
Glenn will be the first to leave the Earth's atmosphere and have to come back.
Glenn went through the horrors of the first American re-entry from outer space. And all of a sudden, he is radioing back to Houston and the Cape. My spacecraft is on fire. It was like descending into hell, I'm sure.
Americans around the country watched the drama unfold. After some tense moments, Glenn radios again. He's okay. And when he splashes down safely, suddenly the U.S. has regained even ground with the Soviets in space.
That was a true American hero, the biggest American hero since Lindbergh.
And he gets an American hero's welcome, a ticker tape parade in New York City, and personal congratulations from President John Kennedy, who is now convinced to commit the country to reaching the moon.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
Glenn retires from the Marines and the space program in 1965, but comes back to become the oldest man in space when he flies a space shuttle mission in 1998.
And they said, you can't do this. The poor guy is going to croak out there.
But by then we knew what to expect in space, because John Glenn had shown us the unknown.
Mark, Roger, backup clock.
So many years before.
It was a superb moment. It ranks with some of the great events and the great Americans in our history.
John Glenn was 77 when he flew on the shuttle. He is 90 years old now. He told the Associated Press recently that only after he turned 90 did he sell his own airplane and stop flying. And in one more milestone, tomorrow he will become the first human ever to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the day he left the Earth and soared into space.